This Jocks 94.5 podcast is brought to you by Millennium Satellite and Video. Log on to msbnow.com. TV excellence everywhere. That's Millennium. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning starts now.
Talking top 50 players in college football per PFF, so you always have to take that with a grain of salt.
Whoa.
Just consider the source. It's okay, but we got to have a starting point. I want to go back quickly to Kansas State. We visited with Wyatt Wheeler a little while ago, and he was talking about their schedule. The back half of the Kansas State schedule is 8 a.m. Thursday, July the 9th right here on Jocks. You can watch us live on YouTube. Search Jocks 945. We'll get back to the top 50 players in college football in just a moment. 2005-834-9450 if you want to get into the show. Text or call. This is the Kansas State schedule after the Sunflower Showdown. October 24th is when this begins. At Arizona State, at Colorado, Oak State, at TCU, Arizona, at Iowa State. 4 of your last 6 on the road. And I know that people are going to hear those teams. That's brutal. And as you pointed out when we discussed it in the break, you're at altitude, you're in the desert. November 14th in Texas, you never know what that's going to look like. And then you go to middle of nowhere, Iowa, on November 28th. I mean, that's a brutal finish to a season just from a geographical standpoint.
I think that's one of the strangest finishing stretches you've seen. And think about the style. Now, the styles of offenses that you're going to see are somewhat similar, with the exception being Iowa State, of course, will be a little different. But Arizona wants to drop back and throw it. TCU wants to drop back and throw it. Looks like Colorado's going to want to drop back and throw it. And Arizona State's going to want to drop back and throw it with some like all those teams are going to run a little tempo. I guess like week to week preparations won't be too drastically different, but you could play one in 90 plus degree heat in the desert. You could play one in the snow in Colorado.
The altitude, regardless.
You're going to play one in the wind in Fort Worth, and you're probably going to play one in the snow, maybe 2 in the snow in your final 2 games of the year at Kansas State. They're at Iowa State 1 week, and
correct,
then
but you got Arizona at home. Yeah,
that's not on November
that'll be
21st.
A weather game for sure.
Like, that is a weird schedule. I love it. I'm here for it.
Well, then you think about your defense, like you got those air raid tendencies with TCU. You're going to get all the tight ends still. That's not going to go away with Iowa State. Colorado, you're going to have different people lined up all over the place offensively. Like that's. And then, like you said, with Arizona, they'll push the ball down the field, but they'll mix it up personnel-wise, too. Like, defensively, it'll be a challenge to prepare for those, but then where they're going to play those is going to be extremely weird. Before we get back into the top 50 players in college football per PFF, tell our listeners about Polar Bear Services.
Well, Polar Bear Services has been serving this community for a bit, and they just do a terrific job. And we know here in Alabama, we have some strange things in the soil, a lot of clay, which can expand and contract depending on the weather, and it can cause a lot of havoc on concrete. But Canty can fix it. They can save you the cost of full replacement when you notice those cracks in your driveway or in your sidewalks. They have a poly-level solution that restores appearance, value, and safety. It also does so without the mess. So if you're noticing cracks, Canty can fix it. They offer free inspections and estimates, and their work is backed by a lifetime transferable warranty. Call them today at 205-509-3991 or go online, Canty, C-A-N-T-E-Y, canfixit.com. That's Canty, canfixit.com.
We ran through the top 25 players returning to college football per PFF, so we're halfway home of the top 50. Some big question marks of certain guys as far as where they were. There's a lot that we agree with, a lot that we like, but Will Eccles at 19, Dylan Stewart at 20. Feels a bit too low. Bray Hubbard at 15, maybe a smidge high. Trinidad Chambliss down at 12, feels a tad low. Carter Smith, offensive tackle from Indiana at 8, maybe a little bit high. But a lot of them we agree with for the most part. Coming in at 25, you got Cade Piper, guard at Iowa. 26, another offensive lineman, Evan Tingsdale. Guard from Cincinnati, which I've seen a little bit of. I need to go dive into more. I know I like his game, but I need to just go watch a little bit more of it. So
love it.
KJ Duff, wide receiver, Rutgers, comes in at 27.
Really good.
What he's making probably should be there.
Whoa. Why you got it?
That was Matt Zenitz that
Don't talk about another
And
man's bread.
He only hinted to who that may be. That was my assumption of who he was referencing.
Damian, new rule. Don't talk about another man's bread.
Gotcha.
Let him eat.
28, Austin Romaine, linebacker, Texas Tech.
I might like the other one a little better, but Romaine was very good for Kansas State last year.
Ahead of Darian Mensah, 29 at Miami.
Probably the most underrated guy on the list right now.
Probably the worst ranked player on the list thus far would be Jaden Mayava at 30.
That dude is a top 10 player.
If you're telling me that there are 29 other players that you would take before this young man,
you're nuts.
I need to know where you're
What
watching
was his
football.
PFF grade, though?
86.2.
Okay, so that's...
Bro, he's such a
Which
dude.
is higher than Darian Mensah, higher than Austin Romaine, higher than KJ Duff, higher than Evan Tingsel, higher than Cade Piper. These are the players ranked in front of him.
Honestly,
higher than Amari Washington, higher than Rasheem Biles, higher than Trevor Goolsby, higher than Dylan Stewart, higher than Will Eccles, higher than Caden Green. I mean, so why do we have the grades?
Answer me this question, seriously. Trinidad Chambliss, who many think is the best quarterback returning in the sport, or Jaden Mayava?
Trinidad right now for this upcoming year.
Dude.
Long term,
you think about Trinidad, yes, I agree. Trinidad in the postseason against Georgia specifically, off the charts good, right? Off the charts good. I love Trinidad. Top 5, top 6 quarterback in the country to me, for sure. But to me, I think the gap between Mayava and the top quarterback in the country, a la Julian Sayin, Dante Moore, whichever one you go with, I don't really care. It doesn't really matter. I think the top 6 or 7
Arch
are
Manning.
all pretty interchangeable. Arch would be in that conversation as well.
I see where you're going, and I agree with you. His ceiling is way up there.
He's a stud.
And I don't think he's close to it yet.
He's a beast. Big fan.
I'll tell you this. I don't like 31.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
David Stone, defensive lineman, Oklahoma.
There's not 30 guys better than him.
Should not be that low. Tatum Tuioti.
Stone or Wine? I like Stone, but I can see why people would lean Wine.
But
Taylor
I
Wine.
want the interior guy first.
Always. Because there's not enough good interior guys.
Yeah. Tuioti.
Tatum Tuioti.
At Oregon. Comes in at 32.
I'm really happy to hear that, actually.
What I like is that he's one spot ahead of Uiagalelei, which
Exactly.
I appreciate because I like him better than Uiagalelei.
I agree. That was exactly where I was going with that. Uiagalelei gets all the love, gets all the attention. I think Tuioti's the better player.
He's a really good
And
player.
I think Amari Washington's the best of the 3, and yet all anyone talks about is Uiagalelei.
Yep. Trevor Locke, tackle, Iowa, comes in at 34. Solid player, like his game. Mario Craver, wide receiver, A&M at 35. Caleb Hawkins, running
You
back.
have Mario Craver that high?
I'm fine at 35. I mean, I
don't know, dude.
I think he's really good. I thought he was great at State.
I think he's a really good football player. I like him a lot. I just don't know if I would have him as a top 35 player. If you look at his numbers from last year, he really had a couple big games. And there were times last year for me, if you're a top 10 player at your position, you just can't disappear. Like you have to be involved in every game. Now, there's some games in which you're involved as a decoy. There's some games in which you're involved as a guy. Maybe they made you such a focal point that you couldn't have the impact that you'd want to have. But I need to see coverages tilt your way. I needed to see the respect from the opposing defense to take you away. And with Mario Craver, he lit up Notre Dame, and it was super impressive. But I just didn't see that level of output on a week-in, week-out basis. So I love him, but there's something to prove there for me.
He had 2 fewer yards in Concepcion. And if you want to go by PFF's logic, his 82.7 receiving grade and 3.25 yards per route.
I like the yards per route stat, actually. I don't know if PFF's is accurate.
That led all qualified SEC receivers per them.
I like the yards per route because that to me is telling me how often you are involved in a passing play and what your production output is on every single pass play, whether you get the ball or not. I think it's actually a good stat.
I just think he's a move guy. And I think you also had a little inconsistency with the guy delivering the football and at times became a run-heavy offense. So I think there were some things working against him from everything that you mentioned. I just think he's super versatile, and I think he's a really good player.
He's definitely that.
Caleb Hawkins, running back, Oak State. Comes in at 36.
Great
Obviously,
player last year. Questions about moving into the next level.
Yeah.
Pretty big step up. The guys that were tackling him last year, or frankly attempting to tackle him last year, the guys are going to look a little different in the Big 12. And he's a really good back. I like him a lot. I just think that there's a learning curve there that I'm curious about.
37 egregious. I mean, you can't even say that it's not participating anymore.
Oh, boy.
Jaden Baugh. He was third in the SEC in rushing yards.
I have him as a top 3 back in college football. He might be top 2.
Like this time last year, I got it. Right. I was like, okay, y'all hadn't heard of him. You don't know about him yet. Like, just wait. There's no excuse now, other than his team was not elite last year. That's the only thing you can say.
Well, what about his grade?
87.7.
Pretty high. Higher than Mayava.
Caleb Hawkins was 92.6.
Whoa.
That might be the best on the list, by the way.
He's good.
Oh, Jaden Baugh should be higher than 37. I think we would all agree with that.
Yes.
Coming in at 38, Dijon Lee, Alabama, corner.
It's a projection, but I don't hate it. It's definitely a projection.
Can he be a takeover guy?
Yes. Yeah. Big time.
39, Oregon corner Brandon Finney Jr.
Don't hate it.
Okay.
Don't hate it.
40, Cam Coleman.
Should be higher.
Should be, but
grade was 69.4.
Well, who was throwing in the ball?
Depended.
I think if you throw left-handed to Cam Coleman, he'll go up and get it.
Against Vandy, yeah.
Yeah, but depends against who?
Skill set wise, should be ahead of 40.
Should be.
No one would debate that. 41, Sam Levitt.
It's in there. Projection, but it's in there.
I mean, how much of that is health?
All of it.
It's got to be. Like, there's no part of him quarterbacking that you would say, oh, yeah, there's 40 other guys we'll take ahead of him.
But there's newness. There's, I mean, like if you're really putting together like the best players, the most important players, however you want to frame the list, quarterback, you can make a case that quarterback should account for a third of the list. Because like those guys account for wins and losses more than anybody by a mile. So I'm okay with there being a lot of quarterbacks, but there are a decent amount of projections going on right now. And I think Levitt's going to be great. There's just going to be some new offense. Does have, I think, good personnel around him. Great play caller, a lot to like, but also coming off a foot injury.
Yeah.
So, and frankly, didn't really light it up through the year last year in his one game against an SEC team, and that SEC team was not elite on defense. So we'll see. 42, Bryce Fitzgerald, safety, Miami. Really good player. 43, Jordan Seaton, tackle, now LSU. Tremendous ceiling. Look how 40. We've talked about it. He's very gifted. His grade was a 65.8.
That's what got him. Grades matter.
Seaton is arguably the best pass protector in college football. Last year, he earned an 84.1 pass blocking grade, which none of us know what that means. Because we saw a kid from Kentucky get a 0, yet we found 12 plays in which on passes, his defender didn't affect the quarterback. So what are we even doing?
Bad first step.
That led all Big 12 tackles and ranked 11th among qualified FBS tackles. Well, then if it was 11th, how is okay? Allowed 7 pressures and 2 sacks. While his work as a run blocker could stand to improve, Seaton had plenty of opportunities to show off his talents as part of LSU's potentially explosive offense.
I don't hate the write-up.
No, it's actually not terrible, other than the numbers they make up to put in there.
Yeah, but you can't dislike the write-up. The reality is there are question marks as a blocker. We acknowledge the ceiling.
Game. Yeah.
And frankly, what is a direct line of being able to pass block? Athleticism.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, that is pass blocking. Being athletic.
Trying.
That too.
Which LSU didn't have like last year. So.
Big fan of trying. I think if you try, I like your chances.
How many guys do you see take one step?
There's so many guys that don't try
and just turn.
There's so many guys.
They're gone. 44, Brunte Johnson, safety, Notre Dame. That secondary is going to be pretty good.
I don't agree with that one.
He shouldn't be that Johnson? High. Bronte Johnson. 82.8 grade. Latest long line, supremely talented Notre Dame defensive backs. First season as a starter, roaring success. He tallied 4 picks and 3 pass breakups, missed 2 tackles all season.
Oh, just Tay Johnson. I was like, I don't know a Tay Johnson. Tate. He goes by Tay, T-A-E.
Not on this list. He doesn't.
I understand that, but I was sitting there saying, like, I don't know a Brunte.
He's a top 25 grade at safety.
PFF goes government name. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Straight off the passport. Like straight off the birth certificate.
45, Jontez Williams, corner, USC. 46, Amari Farrell, safety, Indiana. 47, Kelly Jones, corner, Mississippi State. I freaking love Kelly Jones.
He's outstanding.
He's long. He looks like he weighs 125 and is not afraid to come up and put his body on the line.
No, he's terrific.
48, LJ Martin, BYU.
Great back.
Nice back.
Big fan.
50, I'm going to skip one. Jamari Johnson, tight end, Oregon.
Way too low. That dude is going to be.
Yeah, and it was tough to see because, like, Kenyon Sadiq last year too. But, like, I'm going to tell you this. When I was doing my draft prep, there were times that I was like, oh, man, I love this kid. Oh, wait, that's not Kenyon Sadiq.
Correct.
Like, it was almost hard to tell who was who because they were both so good.
He's like 4 inches taller. He looks like he's so long and is so smooth. He's a bit like Trey'Dez Green. Like we all know. By the way, Trey'Dez Green listed?
Was at 49.
I'm in the hole. I'm done. I'm going to have to take the rest of the show off to gather myself.
But what was his grade?
75.
Well, that's because they didn't throw him the ball. Like
the first 6 games they didn't, but they did down the stretch.
It was 6 games too late.
Green's size and skill make him a tantalizing NFL prospect and a dangerous mismatch for opposing defenses. His 7 touchdown receptions and 12 contested catches both ranked second among all tight ends in 2025. I bet Kenyon Sadiq was up there in at least one of those.
Can you answer me a question?
Greater exposure in Lane Kiffin's offense should allow Green to excel downfield and be in contention for the John Mackey Award.
Let's go.
Heck yeah, be in contention? I love that.
I would say he's already in contention.
Right.
I think they're all on the watch list.
Look at him. It's like, yeah.
Honest question. How many linebackers are listed?
I felt
we
like
got Rasheem Biles.
We had Texas Tech kid.
Okay.
There may be one more. We had a couple edge, so depending on how you're qualifying
I want off the ball linebackers.
Austin Romaine was in there.
Yeah, he was a Texas Tech kid.
Rasheem Biles. That's it.
That's
Just those two.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Love that. What are we doing?
Oh, no. 16, Kingston Villamu Asa from Notre Dame.
Asa. Amazing. I was going to say he better be in there.
He was there at 16. I think we just skipped him.
Xavier Atkins?
Exactly. No Xavier Atkins. Big miss.
Huge.
It's one of the bigger.
And it's very easy.
Whiffs.
By the way, we've all done rankings. We've all done top 10s, top 15s, top 20s, or whatever. We've all had to rank things as if you're in this industry, you have to rank things.
Somebody's getting left out.
You're going to forget somebody. It's not going to be intentional. You're just going to probably overlook somebody. It's going to be accidental. But there needs to be more of a representation, in my opinion, from the off-the-ball linebackers, because that position has become so vitally important because of how difficult it is to diagnose. And if you have guys that can diagnose and make plays and sniff things out, dude, it is a really, really, really important spot. Really important spot. So I just think there needs to be a lot more off-the-ball linebackers that are represented here. Kingston Villamu-Asa, all about it. He's big time. Real big time. Owen Heineke at Oklahoma would be in the mix for me. Rasheem Biles, who is at Texas. I think a lot of people are starting to wake up to what he's capable of. Ben Roberts from Texas Tech, the other one opposite Romaine.
He's a good player.
Is an excellent player. I think he deserves some love for sure. There's just a handful of guys I think off the ball that probably are top 50 players. You have how many running backs in, but yet the running back of the defense, if you will, the off the ball middle linebacker, there's 2.
A lot of corners.
Really important position, premier position.
I get it, but just
if you hate corners, tell us.
More than I expected, and I don't know if you've watched him. God, what's the kid's name at Michigan? Zeke Berry, corner, number 10. I love him. I don't think he's big enough to be like NFL draft. Yeah, he's He's 5'10", 190. But, dude, he plays hard. He is a fun corner to watch. And I think he's good in coverage, too. Listen, I'm not a corner expert, but that kid can play, man. And no one's talking about him. So go watch him. I challenge you to go watch him, and I bet you'll love him.
I've watched Michigan's defense. I like Michigan's defense a lot.
Yeah, they're going to be good this year. I think people are discounting some of what they're losing on the edge, but still, they're going to be good. I don't think there's any doubt. All right, so that's your PFF top 50 players. And as we said, there's going to be guys that are left out, but you also – we can make fun of Cam Coleman for certain things. 40. Jaden Bott, 37.
Who do you think is the guy that is the highest? That shouldn't be as high as he is.
Bray Hubbard at, 18?
More than Carter Smith?
Bray Hubbard at 15. That's it. Yeah. Bray Hubbard is the one that's too high. And I'll be honest with you, I think KJ Bolden is a great player, really good player. But, which, by the way, that's another one that I just found. And it's a corner. Not even on the list. Ellis Robinson's not even on this list. Ellis Robinson should be in the top 50.
Yeah.
He may be the best corner in college football at the end of the year. So, we're not going to get overly mad about, you're going to forget guys like Greg said, but Ellis Robinson should be on this list.
Yeah.
I don't think KJ Bolden should be at 11. I think he's a really good player. But has he proven on the field that he's that guy? And maybe some of this is projection.
I think a lot of it probably is. I mean, but like, where's a Nate Shepard from Duke? Where's a Jordan Faison from Notre Dame? Like, there's a bunch of just great football players that I don't feel like are maybe getting the run here. Like, just great football players. Like, we pay so much attention to production. We pay so much attention to yardage and what you tackles and all this other stuff. But, like, how many guys can take over the game? Like, take over the game at whatever position they're at.
Robinson not on that list. I feel like he took over some games.
You think?
But not a great team, so people are probably going to say, meh, don't want him. So, yeah.
I think the biggest thing on this list, it should be based on, can you take over the game? Like, can you be, at any given time, the best player on the field? And how often are you the best player on the field?
Totally fair.
That's why I think the Cam Coleman one, and we can spend more time on this on the other side if you'd like, I'm not going to kill the Cam Coleman ranking. I'd probably go Wingo ahead of Coleman right now because I've seen it. But it's in there. Like, we know he's capable of potentially taking over the game. So it doesn't crush me to see him up there, but I just don't. There's a lot of guys in front of him that I'm not sure can.
No, I feel like we've done a good job of naming some that were absolutely egregious leave-offs when we're talking about omissions on that list. We'll continue talking to other guys that maybe should be there with that ability to take over games. We'll do it next right here on Jocks.
Go inside Jocks 94.5 on Jocks TV. Morning Jocks, Mac and Cube, three-man front video simulcasts are presented by Bill Smith Buick GMC and Game Day Men's Health. Watch on the Jocks mobile app and YouTube by searching Jocks 94.5 TV.
So we're talking top 50 players in college football, maybe some of the omissions that were left off this list, guys that should be on it that we thought about, and some maybe in potential should be there, but what has happened in a year or two, like we talk about Sam Leavitt, if you just take his best, there's no way he's as low as he is on this list. What about Eric Singleton?
Great player, but I can understand why there's maybe a little bit more prove it mode.
Because of last year?
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you went and pulled the Georgia Tech field 2 years ago and said, is this a top 50 player in college football? No one's debating it.
Nah.
Not a single person on earth is debating that. And that's what you're going to get with the portal now, too, is some guy's going to end up somewhere, it doesn't work out, they go somewhere else, and then you see kind of what they really are.
Was Gunnar Stockton on the list?
No. That's a great pull. And a guy who I would probably have on the list. Top 50?
How many quarterbacks?
Let's count the quarterbacks. We'll go back through. You've got Julian Sayin, Dante Moore, Arch Manning, Trinidad Chambliss. You have C.J. Carr, would be 5. You have Darian Mensah would be 6. Jaden Mayava would be 7. You have, I think that's going to be it as far as quarterbacks. No, Sam Levitt would be 8, and that's going to be it. 8 quarterbacks in the top 50 players per PFF. I don't know what Gunnar Stockton's grade was last year. Maybe Steve Smith was grading him. That's why he didn't make the list.
Well, that's understandable.
He's a top 50 player in college football.
Yes.
I don't think it's debatable.
He can take over the game. That should be the first question we're putting together this list. Can he take over the game? If the answer is yes,
on the list,
then he gets consideration. If the answer is no, probably not in the top 50 of college football.
And he's a good one. Anthony Smith at Minnesota, edge. 12.5 sacks last year. Not on the list. Might be a guy that qualifies for some folks. Damon Wilson, close or no?
No.
Not there?
Just didn't get it enough.
It's in him. But yeah, probably didn't show up consistently enough with him. Anybody else that we can think of that should be on this list? Guys that took over games, guys that dominated in different ways that we're not seeing on this list right now.
Just thinking here. I'm just looking through my lists. It's funny how few offensive linemen there are.
It doesn't surprise me, though. First off, there's not a ton of elite ones.
I get it. But, last year you would have had a Maui Noah. You would have had a Spencer Fano. You would have had a Caleb Lomu. You would have had a handful of guys that would probably be in that world, right? There's just not very many.
If we saw this list last year, there was a tackle from Alabama that was on it going into the year.
No question.
They had him as the number 1 pick, so I feel like he would have been in their top 50 players.
You would have.
Fair.
Yeah, probably made it.
Gosh, I'm trying to think of some others too that like a Tyreek Tucker. No Tyreek Tucker from Indiana, D tackle. Huge omission.
Another one that probably should have made it.
No Ahmad Moten from Miami, interior defensive lineman.
Player. Yeah. Big time player.
Him and Tyreek Tucker.
Overshadowed by the other elite talent he had.
Totally fair, but should certainly be in the mix a little bit. I'm really happy to hear that Cleve Lubin got in. That brings my heart joy.
Mark Fletcher Jr.?
I would have him in mind. I understand why they don't. If you want to talk like missed tackle rate and grades and all the other mythical stats that they have provided.
But give him the
ball.
I'll
take the dude that I know is good for about 4.5.
That's fair, but if you're going to really push back, he didn't really become the bell cow until the playoffs. But in the playoffs, who ran it better than he did? Nobody. So if you're pushing back, it's like, okay, well, why didn't he get the lion's share throughout the regular season?
Any of the Clemson guys, and I think there's about 4 that we could name, Greg, that were kind of close here that because they had down years last year, maybe should be on this list this year?
I think Clemson is probably the team, my list this year, that is flying under the radar the most. They have dudes. I'm not saying that it's what it once was, but dude, Will Helt can get it off the edge. He's a handful off the edge. I like some of their guys on the interior.
Even just Sammy Brown or Wesco, not even defense, but just, they got dudes that last year it wasn't what it was supposed to be, but it's in there still. Maybe just down years last year, not going to allow them to sort of be included here. But
I think you can make a case for Wesco. You can make a case for TJ Moore. The problem is which one do you like better? They're kind of interchangeable for some. One's a speed guy, one's a possession guy. What do you like more? I don't think you can really go wrong. I think Clemson is flying under the radar in a big way, and their personnel is being understated significantly across the board.
All right, who's flying under the radar in the Big 12? We'll ask Craig Smoak of 365 Sports next, right here on Jocks.
The capital of the sports talk nation. This is Jocks 94.5 and JocksFM.com. Birmingham.
All right, let's put the top 50 players in college football per PFF to rest and talk Big 12 Media Days again. Craig Smoak, 365 Sports, joining us for Big 12 Media Day coverage and some talk on Auburn's first opponent, Baylor, as well. Some of the things that we learned from the Baylor folks that were there at Big 12 Media Days. But, Craig, we talked earlier in the show about just some of the Texas Tech brass, specifically that were there at Big 12 Media Days, the defense that continues, some of the excuse making and what appears to be surprise that people were frustrated with them, pointing fingers at them. Were you surprised at how much this is still taking place in person with the Texas Tech folks that rolled through Frisco and the Star?
Well, hey, guys, thanks for having me as always. Always a pleasure to spend some time talking some college football with y'all. And, yeah, at this point I'm not really surprised with Texas Tech and just the saga that continues around them. I was, I think, most surprised, less so by Texas Tech kind of still defending themselves, and really more so surprised by the way the Big 12 kind of fumbled just this entire introduction to media days with Brett Yormark and his lack of answer when asked a question about Texas Tech right off the bat. Like, you had to know that questions were coming. You had to know that people were going to want to talk to you about Texas Tech, given this is the first time that they've been able to ask you questions. And Brett Yormark has this, weird non-answer, says now's not the time to talk about it. And it's like, dude, we're at media days. Like, when are we going to talk about Texas Tech and what's going on? If not here, if not now, when? And then has a follow-up question, which turns into the viral clip that you've probably seen where he's telling the guy to stand up when he asks the question, kind of has this weird, aggressive sort of response to it. That just sort of, it went from being a media days where you thought, hey, this might just all get kind of talked out and we'll move forward and everything's been decided and all of that, to right out of the gates being well, that was a terrible answer by the commission. Man, he's still after Texas Tech, and it just set the thing off from the very beginning that this was going to continue, and if anything, it added more layers to it. So just kind of a weird deal where you also had the report by Ross Dellinger that came out discussing this secret meeting that's occurred in Fort Worth with Texas Tech brass like Cody Campbell, as well as the commissioner and Brett Yormark. So there was that story, as well as the commissioner's exchange. And so if things were just sort of normal, then I think that would have been one thing. But given that there was just all this focus and then just sort of this weird response by the commissioner and then these new details, Cincinnati's under investigation, we know now. There's just more layers being added, if anything. So, no, I'm not surprised to hear Texas Tech defend themselves, guys. If you know Texas Tech, if you know kind of their officials, which you've gotten a pretty good impression of the last few months, then they're dug in on how they've responded to everything. They're dug in on their stance. They're dug in that they supported their athlete. They're dug in that they did nothing wrong. They're dug in that they're being unfairly punished. And so, no, I was not surprised that they continued to stay dug in and kind of defend themselves. I was more so surprised by how the Big 12 sort of set them up to have more ammunition to be even further dug in than they already were. So this is a story that isn't even so much about Brendan Sorsby anymore. It's now more so about Texas Tech versus the league office, Texas Tech versus Brett Yormark, and Texas Tech feeling as though they've been wronged more so than they should have been in this whole saga. So it's gotten more interesting, but I know for a lot of people out there that don't feel like they're the victim, it's an eye roller, and they're not making a lot of allies, that's for sure.
That's the biggest understatement in the history of the world, that's for sure. When you look at the coverage, though, from the Big 12, could they have put it to bed? What would you, if you were in charge of maybe the PR for the Big 12, how would you have handled it in the media day setting?
I think the most simplistic way that you could have done this was, well, first of all, you had to know this was coming, right? So that was what was so surprising, was I anticipated that Brett Yormark would have like some prepared statement, or you'd have some prepared answer ready to go to just kind of shut it down. And I think the way to do that would have been and said, hey, I know y'all want to talk Texas Tech. I have my thoughts. We're going to talk about it and clear the air at some point. But for right now, we still technically have an ongoing lawsuit against them, which all came about as a result of Ken Paxton, the politician from Texas, going out on the offensive a couple of weeks ago and saying, hey, you guys better not punish Texas Tech or else. And then you had the lawyers get involved and basically threaten the same thing, Jeffrey Kessler. And then the Big 12 said, hey, thank you for that life raft, because that's exactly what we needed to turn around and have cause to sue you guys, because you're threatening us if we dare even attempt to punish you, which is against the bylaws. And so the Big 12 put together that suit that actually led to Brendan Sorsby eventually being let go. So they sort of entrapped themselves, but that is still ongoing, that lawsuit by the Big 12, because they want to have an assurance that they have absolute authority to punish their members. So they could have just said, to answer your question, we have ongoing litigation, we're working it out as a conference, but for right now, until that's over with, I don't feel comfortable, and I've been advised to not say anything specifically about this until that is resolved. Now, that might have been a cop-out answer, but at least it would have made some sense. Instead, the commissioner tries to say, well, now's not the time or place, when that's absolutely the time and place to talk about this. And then he gets all aggressive with another guy a little while later that wants to talk about it. So I think he could have stomped that out by just saying, hey, there's an ongoing lawsuit with us right now. We're working on it, but we legally we can't talk about it. I think that would have been the best method, and people would have at least understood. Instead, when it kind of turned into more of a weird sort of interaction, it was fuel to the fire. It just made Tech feel like they were still being picked on, which is very much how a lot of them feel. They feel like the commissioner's against them. They feel like the league's against them. And whether you believe that or not, and I know you guys probably don't, and most people don't, that's how they feel. So I think the commissioner just poured gasoline on that fire, if anything, and he had an easy off route. But for whatever reason, I don't know what went into the method of, hey, this is how we'll respond to this when you knew it was coming. It was just sort of bizarre. It was really, I think, a poor job by Brett Yormark in particular to not be ready to handle this better. And I was quite surprised that he wasn't ready to handle this better. I can't imagine they didn't have any idea of what was going to happen. So it was just kind of bizarre from that standpoint. But yeah, take the lawsuits ongoing. We can't talk about it and revisit it later. But to say now's not the time or to get aggressive, just not a good look for the commissioner in my mind, and really a mishandling of an opportunity to kind of clear the air and settle things down.
I think we would all agree with you there. Craig Smoak joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, 365 Sports. Close to Baylor as well. You know that program well. Saw Dave Aranda and the Baylor brass come through. What did you learn about Auburn's opening opponent there at Big 12 Media Days?
Well, it's really interesting that Dave Aranda has now tried to become more of an outgoing guy. He's trying to open up, and a lot of people would probably say, well, it's too little too late for that coach at this point. You probably should have gotten on Twitter a bit more, tried to get people to know you a bit more, like you're doing now, 2-3 years ago. That probably would have served you better. But he knows he's a dead man walking if things don't turn around results-wise this year. The new athletic director has made it no secret that he's supporting Dave. But, yeah, there's very much expectations and a standard that need to be upheld and need to be met. And so we all know what the deal is. Like, Dave Aranda has got to win football games, or else we're going to be talking about a new head coach at the end of the year. So I think there's a lot of confidence that they've made the right move, and Dave handing off the defense pretty much in its entirety to Joe Klanderman, their new hire from Kansas State. I think there's a lot of belief that they're going to bring the best out of DJ Lagway as he sort of tries to rejuvenate his career and reinvent himself. And there's just a lot of belief that, Aranda, by just kind of being freer and looser and trying to open up a bit, that it's going to result in a good locker room and just things sort of coming together. And it's not a really rock-solid thing to build a foundation on from the outside looking in, but that's really all they can pin their hopes to is just some of these moves they've made this offseason. So I still have a lot of questions about them, but I am a little bit more optimistic and kind of just hearing the guys talk about things. But, time will tell. Auburn will be a great first measuring stick for them, and we'll learn a lot about everybody when they play their first game. But for Baylor, they really are a mystery right now. I lean towards them being a team still sort of fighting for a bowl berth, which would not bode well for Aranda. But, hey, there's always teams every year that we're shocked by, and maybe it's them. Maybe this defense is just incredible with the changes. Maybe DJ Lagway has that spark again. But based on what we've seen the last couple of years, I'm not going to hold my breath, and we'll tell when the ball is spotted, so to speak.
when you look at where their ceiling was back in, 21 when they won the Sugar Bowl, what's gone wrong to lead to this point? What can you specifically tell us where it was that Aranda might have made a misstep to kind of get it off the rails and what he must do to kind of get it back on?
Yeah, so that 21 season was the best season in Baylor football history. They had the incredible success there in the 2010s, and then obviously scandal hits. They pivot to Matt Rule after the Art Briles fallout and all that came with that. Rule kind of builds them back up, builds their confidence back up, and then here comes Aranda, which was a very experimental hire because this guy, was known for being a defensive guru, but didn't have a big personality, not necessarily somebody really that a lot of people pegged as a head coach. And so here he comes in and he puts together some pretty good hires, but also has some carryover from Matt Rule's staff, like Joey McGuire as one of those guys, as a matter of fact, among some others. And they just had the perfect storm come together in 21 with talent and coaching, and they won the close games, and it was just magical. And so they had that great run, and then that's when everything in college football changed. 21 was the last year when it was just kind of the older college football we knew, because then what happened right after that was NIL became legal, and the floodgates opened. And Aranda and Baylor, rather than being well prepared and being well set up to kind of attack that, they sort of just thought, well, we're just going to bring the guys back from this greatest team ever that we've had, and we're going to run it back and we'll add some pieces, but we don't really feel the need to attack the portal all that heavy. We kind of like what we have, and I think they were just sort of working blind because no one really knew exactly how to work this whole thing back then in this new era. And I don't think they adequately took advantage of the momentum that they had. They made a poor decision in just kind of keeping their team together, and what resulted was a really bad year that actually caused them to take a step back. Then you start losing coaches, and then things just sort of change, and it's like they lost control of the car and couldn't grab it back there for a couple of years. So I think just a poor reaction to the beginning of NIL, and then Dave Aranda kind of being too slow and making some changes, and maybe not making changes, but making some of the wrong decisions. It just sort of snowballed on them and has led to just a very topsy-turvy last few years where I think they've had a lot of trouble trying to find themselves in this new landscape. Dave Aranda's had trouble finding himself as a head coach, I think, to some degree. And that's why we're on the third or fourth coordinator change on defense, including him a couple of times. We've had now some steadiness at OC with Jake Spavital, but it's been a journey in Aranda and the program just kind of finding its identity in this new era, and that's been really difficult for a small school that doesn't have tens of thousands of alumni to lean on, whereas you look across the way, and here's this Texas Tech team that we started off talking about who knew exactly how to handle NIL and take full advantage. So I would say that the botching of NIL and just transferring over into the new era has really just set them on this course where they've tried to find their way back to the main road, but it's been much more difficult than I think they ever realized it would be.
I might be overstating this or maybe looking too much into this. Craig Smoak of 365 Sports joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. And maybe because part of this I heard from DJ before he left, like there was right after he left, before it came from sort of Baylor, it just came from him. But this whole excuse making about how entrapped he was in Gainesville and like this poor me in Gainesville and like the stuff that Aranda was saying about, how bad he had it in Gainesville, like, come on, guy. Like you had really good receivers. You had some really good running backs, a good offensive line. You had a quarterback-friendly system. If you're a shy human being, that's fine. I get it. I'm not mad at you for that. But I don't really know why that needs to be thrown out as some of the reasons that you didn't have a lot of luck in football. You also weren't available for a lot of practice and games while you were there. That's of no fan's fault or no coach's fault. So am I overstating some of my issues with this, Craig, about some of the things we're hearing out of his camp heading into this season?
No, I don't think so. I think that's fair. If you saw him and you saw the opportunities that he had that he didn't take advantage of, you saw that it wasn't just the way Billy Napier handled things. It wasn't the way they called plays. It was DJ Lagway a lot of the time who was at fault for DJ Lagway being the player that he's been known to be so far. And I think they're kind of trying to reconcile that in building him back up and trying to maybe unlock some things that got closed off. And I think that's more of what Aranda was talking to, particularly with the straitjacket quote, because I saw a quote floating around from him, and he had a similar one with us. And when he was talking with us, he was quick to say, I don't mean straitjacket as in like Florida was tying him up and this or that. He more or less was kind of saying that just that was sort of DJ's reaction, was to kind of close himself off, tighten up, and it just sort of didn't lead to the most open and probably healthiest relationship. And I think some of the unhealthiness is probably in the way a young DJ Lagway was sort of dealing with the fact that things weren't coming easy and things were difficult. So I think really what I've seen from DJ Lagway and even Dave Aranda talking about it is I haven't taken it so much as blame on Florida. Maybe I haven't seen every quote, but I know at least from Dave's perspective, he doesn't look at it as it was Florida's fault. It's more or less just that the situation led to being one where, DJ just, was dealing with being a young man, dealing with issues, closed off because of his personality, far away from home. And that's kind of how he's viewing it. I mean, DJ, I think in the quotes that I've seen from him has been sort of saying the same thing. But, I know where you're coming from, though. There is this element of, things were dysfunctional at Florida, this, that, and the other. And now I'm freer. I'm back in Texas. I'm appreciated this, that, and everything else. And so we'll see when he gets on the field, right? Because if he goes out there and thrives and Jake Spavital has him zipping it around, then maybe you look at it and you go, okay, well, maybe things were a little off in Gainesville. But then again, if he doesn't perform, then there's nobody to point the finger towards. So his play will do the talking, but I definitely understand the thoughts of, you're sort of shifting the blame a little bit when it should be on your shoulders and really no one else's.
Man, really appreciate the time, Craig. Great stuff. Great insight. Enjoyed your work from Big 12 Media Days as well. Look forward to catching up again soon.
Hey, anytime, guys. Love talking ball with y'all, so appreciate it, and have a great week.
Craig Smoak covers Baylor, the Smoak Show. You can find him at 365 Sports, at Craig Smoak, SMOAK on Twitter as well. Great stuff there discussing Big 12 Media Days and Baylor. Some of the commentary around DJ Lagway. Worth it? Frustrating? We'll discuss it next on Jocks.
Go inside Jocks 94.5 on Jocks TV. Morning Jocks, Mac and Cube, three-man front video simulcasts are presented by Bill Smith Buick GMC and Game Day Men's Health. Watch on the Jocks mobile app and YouTube by searching Jocks 94.5 TV.
The commentary around DJ Lagway, Greg, I would reference it as excuse making. Couldn't go outside in Gainesville, straitjacketed himself, or the coaching staff did, whoever you want to believe, however you want to think that was referenced. Like, you're the quarterback of an SEC school, an SEC traditional power. Like, forgive me for not wanting to hear it. Like, I'm sorry.
Them the breaks.
Call me mean.
Well, you just know what you sign up for when you go play quarterback in the SEC.
At Florida, by the way.
We all did it.
Spurrier, Werfel, Tebow, amongst others. Like, should be a little idea what's coming out of that there. But, hey, Coach Wim Sanderson will be with us next right here on Jocks.
This is McElroy and Cubelic in the morning.
The United States Soccer Federation presents the U.S. Soccer Podcast.
I'm your host, Megan Klingerberg. One thing I promised you is an all-access pass that you wouldn't get on any other show. And we found out that whoever comes on scores a goal. Burhope, Freeman, Trusty. U.S. Soccer Podcast magic is real, people. We still got plenty of coverage all throughout this World Cup. Okay, let's get into it.
The U.S. Soccer Podcast, presented by Henco. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Scrolling with Haley.
I am Haley Carania. I scroll with the homies here in the live chat because there's a lot to scroll through on X, on Instagram, on TikTok.
Cutting through the clutter, one hot take at a time.
Love seeing you all in the chat before the show. I tried to jump in just a few minutes before to say hello. I love the chat interaction. Thank you for helping. But I do it to get all of the videos and all of the content that you won't find anywhere else.
Scrolling with Haley.
Just search that up and I will be there.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Jim Rome takes on sports.
I will always have a complicated relationship with this game, but people evolve. So do sports. Do not make me regret this. Do not make me devolve back to that guy that so many clones wish that I still was. And do not embarrass the entire country. Now, I can go back. I can get there fast. Lose tonight, and you got a real problem. Do not blow it.
The Jim Rome Show podcast.
You've been warned.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.